Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
And I'm Chet.
And we have Luana in studio, and we have the most amazing dog expert. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Blake Woody, and I'm with Certified Canine.
Certified Canine. Tell us what that means.
So Certified Canine is an organization that has two functions. First and foremost, we certify service and therapy dogs with a viewpoint of public access and task-based skills. And then we also do general training. So we help you from puppy behaviors all the way up to service dog training.
So if somebody just wants their dog to just be well-behaved, you're the perfect girl.
We do that.
Okay, so you say we. How many? Is it a big company? Is it a few people?
So we're a relatively small company at this point, but we do have trainers and certifiers throughout the U.S.
Really?
That can help support you with what you're looking for.
How did you get into this?
On a whim. So 15 years ago, I was working at the zoo in the education
Wow, the
department.
zoo?
Yes. As a fun gig, as a fun job, and you get to learn how to handle animals in the education department. And so one of the best ways to continue handling animals and training them is by doing dog training. So I picked up doing dog training as a side gig just to help the aspect of me working in zoos and aquariums. And I fell in love with the human-animal bond, and it kind of goes from there.
That's exciting. So you were at the Phoenix Zoo?
I was.
How many years?
I was there for just about 5 years.
Well, then I can tell you love animals, because if it's like Phoenix Zoo, what were your favorite? I mean, the gorillas, the giraffe.
You had to pick a favorite animal for like your education name tag. There's a joy in all animals, like whether it's a giraffe or a tortoise, it doesn't really matter. It's there's a enjoyment there.
Great answer. You never could pick a favorite kid.
No.
I understand.
I know, dogs are my favorite. I'm very biased.
Well, but you have two. But here you have two dogs. You have two Goldens. Do you have a favorite Golden?
No, well, that's not possible.
That's
but I
kind
have
of
a favorite type of animal. It's a dog.
Oh, okay. Well, so this Luana puppy is maybe 7 months old. Would you say? Here she is. That's her. Breathe onto the mic here. Say hello. Can you hear?
Not really.
Gabe said yes. She is really intelligent, extremely intelligent, and very inquisitive and a little bit naughty.
Yep.
She'll do things that she knows she's not supposed to do, but she'll test at this age. Can you correct some of these behaviors?
100%. So all dogs are intelligent. It's just about how you ask them what you want them to do. So I like to joke that, if you've seen, the AKC agility where you have the small shepherd or the small Australian shepherd that flies through the course, you can also have an English Mastiff who takes its sweet time moseying through the same way as you do a small fast dog. It's just about how you ask it and how does the dog understand it. So every dog's intelligent. They just come kind of preloaded with different abilities.
That's a great way to look at it. So basically you have to learn how they learn.
Yep. And how they process.
And how do you learn? How do we learn that?
So a lot of research or working with a good trainer. So when we look at dog behavior, there's something called humane hierarchy. So what we start with is understanding not only your background, who the owner is, what is your lifestyle, what does a day in the life look like for you, but then for your dog, because that plays a huge factor. But then we also look at the dog itself. So genetics aren't an end-all be-all, but they are a part of it. So whether your dog is purebred or a Heinz 57 off the streets, it doesn't matter. But those traits, they kind of come preloaded with a couple baggage or a couple special tools. So we talked a little bit about that she's an English cream, right? So English cream, she's going to, yes, be a retriever and like to grab things, like to be all about her nose or her paws. But the other thing too is that English creams from a behavior perspective tend to be more nervous. They tend to be I don't want to say unsteady, but they tend to be dogs that just need a little more encouragement and a little bit more drive or focus to help them realize, I can calm down a little bit. So you were mentioning like she's learned all these things, but then she gets startled at silly things, right?
Well, yeah, but she's very confident and like calm most of the time, but she's just easily startled.
Yep.
By loud sounds.
Well, no, it's not just sound. It's also stuff like the ceiling fan,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, the Dyson air cleaner.
Yep. The other thing too is
The
that
vacuum.
being 7 months, you're going through some massive biological upgrades.
Yeah.
So 6 months and under, the world happens to her. She's a puppy. She's a little sponge. And then 6 months to about a year and a half, now she's a teenager. So now she happens to the world. And that's also where about every 2 to 3 weeks, they're getting biological upgrades to where they're like, I've never looked at the ceiling, and oh my God, there's a ceiling fan. And they've lived in the house for 7 months. And, why are you just now noticing this? That's what happens. And that escalates or gets on a roller coaster until they're about a year old. And then at that year, they kind of plateau, and then they start settling into a maturity. So,
well, Chet he has another golden that is maybe 2 in 2 months or so.
No, she's over 2.5, going to be 3 soon.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know that. And so he wanted her to be fully trained before he got a puppy. And then Chet had lost a friend and one of his best friends. And so I surprised him with this puppy because a lady that works at a car dealership that I frequent said, oh, I've got a litter of puppies. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Let me just get this for him for Christmas. And so it worked out great. But what I saw was Chet had trained the older dog Puka, which is now 2.5 to 3 or whatever, that she was so trained. And I see her 25% of the time copying this little one, jumping or doing something naughty, not staying on stay, and just kind of trying to follow in with the little. Is that normal?
Yep, it's called associated learning.
And competing. Like, she's just trying to jump up to compete with her.
Yes.
Like, if she was alone with you, she wouldn't be doing that. Yeah. So
it's a resource.
Yeah.
Your attention is a resource.
Yeah.
Whoa, what just happened? You just brought someone else into your family.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon. But also, she's taught the puppy some things as well. It goes hand.
She's taught her a lot.
It goes back and forth. A lot of times what you don't realize is when you bring another dog, you don't know what's going to happen with your dog. And everyone's like, oh, they'll be friends. It's fine. It'll be the same. No, it changes. Dogs have really cool situational hierarchy. So some days,
Situational hierarchy.
Yep.
I want to learn all these terms. Okay.
So they can change what they want when they want. So think of it like if one dog really likes toys, that's their toys, cool, they go with it. And the other dog's like, I always get treats first. Let's say the day switches up and she's like, yeah, not today, I'm good. Then they don't have to have it first. So it can fluctuate. There's like a flow there. That is what happens when it's a group of dogs. And the more dogs you add, the more pack dynamics or hierarchy dynamics you deal with.
Okay, so pack dynamic and hierarchy dynamic is similar.
Yes, they are similar.
Okay. Because I know about the pack. So when you introduce the second dog in, are the dogs more bonding with each other? Or because Chet waited till Puka was 2, it seemed like Puka was so bonded with Chet and still is that a smarter way to do it? Because Chet was emphatic about wanting to wait till the first one was 2 to get the second one.
I wouldn't say.
Or what do you think?
It's mixed. Like,
okay.
Really what makes the most sense for your lifestyle. If you have time and energy for a puppy, phenomenal. Like, go for it. I have clients that have 2 puppies at the same time, and I'm like, okay, go for it. I don't have that energy, but you can. A lot of times, it's kind of like when you think of people having kids, they want to get the 3 and under out of the way, so they kind of have them back to back to back, and then they're done with the baby phase when it's all done. Same idea for the teenager phase or the puppy teenager phase.
Well, I guess that makes sense if you have twins.
Yep.
Or triplets, kids, people, that it's going to be the same thing like getting 2 puppies at once.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you'll have people that have older dogs that they get puppies, and also their older dog has new life, a new lease on life. It's about what makes sense for your family, and can your dog handle that change, and are you equipped to handle and help guide them through it?
What do you think of crating? Chet's dogs don't. He never creates them. He thinks he doesn't like it.
I'm always on cues of safety. So if my dogs are crated, they don't need a crate at this point, but I have 2 black labs that are under 2. They go in their kennel.
Do we call it a kennel?
Kennel, crate, same thing.
Okay.
It's structure that they stay in. It's peace of mind. Are they safe, and is your house safe? I have 2 little boys at my house, and they have Legos and plastic
How
toys
old are they?
in it. They're 5 and 7.
Oh.
So we just our youngest black lab is just turning a year next month, and she loves to eat Legos. Like she literally sticks her head into the Lego bin and just nom 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 nom. Like she's like, oh, what thing shall I chew this time? So she's fine during the day, not a problem, and she's fine at night. It's not a problem. But when we leave the house, that's when she gets into mischief, and so she goes in her kennel. And even though she hasn't chomped a Lego in, I'd say, 3 months, I don't trust her. We haven't earned that privilege yet, so she just goes in the kennel. It's peace of mind.
So do you have to take her to the vet if she eats it? One of the toys like that?
Sometimes
Legos?
It's best judgment. Like you don't have to rush the vet immediately because Legos, I mean, are small. So she crunches it. Usually you find the pieces. She doesn't generally swallow it. But if she swallows something that you're like, that could cause an impaction or something wrong, then yeah, we do.
So if I ever catch her chewing something like that, I go, "You're going to jail." I put her in the kennel.
It's not a jail.
Well, she thinks of it as that way, but it's really changed her behavior. She doesn't really chew on anything anymore.
Yeah.
Like she can be trusted now. So now I leave her out.
What about the remote control for the TV that she chewed on?
That's the last thing that she chewed on. I was probably like, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago. She hasn't done anything since then. She had 0 mess ups since then, so that's pretty good.
6 weeks ago is
for a
kind of
puppy
recent,
of her
I think.
age.
Yeah, for her age, yeah, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
I would say that you probably need to look out at 10 months. That's usually when they start chewing again.
Okay, interesting.
Those back teeth are hurting a little bit,
Really?
so
Interesting.
they start chomping.
Good to know to look out for it and have extra chew toys out there for her.
100%.
Well, I don't think it's worth the risk because, for one, when I was at dinner, I was with one of my best friends, my doctor friend, and her new boyfriend, and we're having dinner. We just had started ordering, and Chick calls. It was about 6 weeks ago, and he was in a frenzy. I thought he was going to start crying, and I'm like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And he's like, "Puka ate the remote
But this is
control and the
also
batteries."
because the fault of my roommate leaving the remote in a place it shouldn't have been. Usually we leave stuff like that out of the way. So
That's the plight of every dog owner.
Yeah. So this was not. This was like a fluke thing.
Well, anyhow,
Usually she doesn't have access to that, but like a couple days ago, I noticed he left the remote where she could have gotten it and she didn't chew it. So she is getting better. I still would rather avoid the situation being a possibility altogether.
Well, how much did you spend on that vet bill? Like $600 or something?
No, because it was like 100.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how much you spent. So, well, still, sometimes I have some friends that their dogs ate socks, and they were notorious for finding dirty socks and eating them up, and they had to go to the vet, and both of them had a surgery. So, and I know
obstruction surgery. I have a client that he's had 3, and if he has another one, they have to put him down. There's no more bowel to move out. So
really,
it's life or death. So he has to be in a kennel because it's life or death.
Wait, repeat this. So it's had 3 surgeries, or this will be third surgery
Nope,
if there is another.
He's had 3 surgeries, and so they've had portions of his bowel removed each time.
What do you mean? So they take part of their...
The obstruction has caused such damage within their GI tract that they've had to remove it.
So they have
Really?
to cut out that whole section of it.
Yep.
Whether
It's not
that's
worth the risk.
in their intestine or wherever it is. Interesting.
So like,
So I'm learning so much.
So they can run out of room, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it can cause bloat, which is a silent killer in dogs. It can cause other issues along those lines. But he has the impulse of I gobble, like he's a gobbler.
This one's a gobbler.
Yep. And they actually just came out with a really cool study that labs and Goldens, there is a genetic deficiency, not in all of them, but in some of them, that the thing of I'm hungry all the time is
That's this
actually
one.
genetic.
Well, now, Puka doesn't have that. The older one doesn't. In fact, she was almost like anorexic. Chick gets mad when I say this, but when she was a puppy and I'd come over, I'd have to like feed her one currently. I'd be like, eat this, eat this. She would not even eat.
Yeah.
And she still, like her bowl, he'll say, she still hasn't eaten. But this one inhales the food.
Well, that's where the pet industry, you'll see such a high influx of different types of foods and a lot of science behind it, whether it's raw or whole or fresh or frozen or kibble. There is a lot of science behind that.
So interesting. Well, what do you recommend for when a dog is, when I come into the room, when I show up at his house for the first 5 minutes, it's only 5 minutes. I mean, she just nonstop, she's just jumping on me and I love it, but I know he doesn't want her to do it and we don't want her to do it because there are certain people like my mom, she's fragile, and if she, it'll take her down. It could kill my mom.
Yep.
So it's very serious.
So what I tell clients is that first and foremost, put your dog on a leash if you can.
Mm.
And it's neutrality. You have to ignore the dog. Now, you said the first statement, and that was, I love it.
I do.
I love it, which means you probably go, oh my gosh, I'm so excited! Pat, pat, pat,
Do
pat,
I?
pat. And for her, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I get love and reinforcement for it. So why don't I'm good, of course I'm going to keep going with it. So when you walk in that door, you got to ignore for the first 5 minutes. And then you can sit down on the couch and then invite her. It's an invitation. It's a privilege.
So Chet's right then.
Yes.
Chet's right, because you've been saying to do that.
Well, yeah, or what I do when she jumps on me, she usually doesn't now because I always do this, but I just say jumpers go to jail, and I put her in her I put her in her kennel for 5 minutes. Yeah, and she hates the jail. When she comes out, she doesn't jump again for the next couple days.
Because she lost her privilege.
Yeah, exactly. So she loves freedom so much. She loves that privilege. So it's a very effective method for her.
But also it's his tone.
You can tell she's counting down the seconds to get out. So.
Okay.
And yeah,
Let's
and
let her
it's
in
awesome that I can trust her so much at this young age. Like 90%. Okay, I guess we can do that.
Yeah, just let her in around.
90% of the time, it's funny because she was just saying it's good to keep them on a leash
Oh.
to keep control, so you're not listening at all.
okay,
But
okay.
back
That's
to the
a
topic at
common mom
hand.
thing.
Well, I think I want her to feel comfortable coming here and like think it's fun. And right now she's being very calm. She's not jumping or anything.
Yeah, but she could get bored and start chewing something that damages a wire or something. It's not smart to leave her loose like that.
So until she's about 1.5 years, don't trust her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I don't trust any of my dogs until they're at least 1.5 years.
Okay.
No matter how much training, no matter how much socialization that I've given them, I don't trust them because they don't have the maturity behind it. This is impulse control land. Like, this is something goes past. If I toss a cookie, if I toss a squeaky ball, ooh, squirrel, what's that? You know? So it's, we got to work on how to be neutral. The biggest thing when we look at service dogs or therapy dogs, you always think like therapy dogs are there to love on everyone and get all the wiggles, but they have to be calm if someone else like opened the door. It's not bark, 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 bark. It's, oh, hey, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's neutrality, teaching them how to handle the unpredictability of our
Neutrality. I love that. So how do you unbreak them of being scared, for example, of like an elevator or I don't like escalators because I've seen a dog's paw stuck in an elevator and it's still like a nightmare to me. I can't even like think about it. The dog that was like crying. So I don't believe in teaching dogs to be on elevators. I think
Not
it's,
unless they're wearing shoes.
I mean escalators.
Yeah, not unless
Yeah.
they're wearing shoes.
No. But elevators, loud sounds and jumping. How do we train this?
So jumping is impulse control. So you have to, any negative behavior that you're working with your dog, you're going to disrupt and redirect. So, I need you to sit. And usually with dogs, we always think there's only 5 skills that you have to teach a dog, whether they're a service dog or just a good pet dog. It's 5 skills. So some type of body mechanics. So sit down. I like a touch command so they nose bump your hand. It's the intro.
Well, I don't understand what you mean by that.
So you hold your hand out and she literally nose bumps. Like a little, like her nose comes into your hand and bumps it.
Really? How does she know to do that?
You can lure or capture the behavior. So general dogs are usually very curious. Does she have any food allergies?
No, but she knows how to touch you with her paw. She knows shake. So
Yep.
it's like the nose equivalent of that.
But for example, I have a treat between. So she has, simple as that. I have a treat in my hand. She
Okay.
gets to lick it. Hey, she's like, oh, this is cool. I like this.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And then you can start fading the treat out or put it more in between your fingers. And now you've taught her, yes, go girl. She puts her nose there, she's sniffing it, and then she gets a reward for that. But that's the beginning of a redirection.
Did you see what he
command.
did? Or what she Blake put it right between her finger.
Yeah.
Yes.
So kind of hidden almost in there. That's smart.
But that's also where we teach them how to turn on lights, how to push doors open, how to close doors.
What?
That's
You
how
can teach all
start it.
that?
Mm-hmm. It's all trick training. It's all basics. But then what we want is the dog to have name recognition. So we load their name as a command in and of itself. So I call it name game. You call your dog and they have to come around and sit in front of you and look at you. Looking and sitting is the default for any behavior. So you're going to open the door, they have to sit and look. They're going to put the food down, they have to sit and look. But if you do it with
But how do you get them to sit and look?
by playing name games. So you call them once, you can lure them or making some kissing noises because they're going to be naturally interested. Like, what are you doing? Why do you have cookies? What's happening? And then when they check it out, if they put their butt down, yes, here you go. Here's a cookie. Very cause and effect. Very simple. And then from there, then we can work on leave it. So don't look at it, don't touch it, don't think about it. We can work on our hold command or stay or place, whatever you call it, doesn't really matter. But basically, she doesn't move until you release her with a certain word.
Oh, that's an important one.
She knows stay, luckily.
Nice. But that's also where, like, leave it. So if she's a counter surfer, if I put cookies up here, leave it. And I'm putting them right at the edge of the table. All I'm doing is taking my hand and doing a slight wipe or slice.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see she backed up like, what the hell? How do I get that? And now she's going back to you going, Dad, what is this? But once she knows the basics, then
How
you can start
cute.
doing, I can torture your dog in a healthy, positive way.
No,
She
no,
is a
I like
counter
it.
surfer.
Oh,
though,
yeah.
So I like that move. That's a good one. Yeah.
But
That's
then
one of the ways she's been
So wait,
naughty.
show us how. Can you call her back and let's see how she finally is allowed to take it?
She's
She's
not allowed
never
to take
allowed
it.
to take it.
Oh.
She's never allowed to have stuff off the table.
Okay, that was dingy.
Or counters.
Okay.
So think of this with dog behavior. There's rights and privileges. It's a right to have food, safe space, water, and love. That's her right as a dog. She is required to have that as a dog owner. But it's a privilege to be on beds and couches. It's a privilege to get human food. It's a privilege to be off leash. It's a privilege to have 100 feet versus 3 feet. It doesn't matter. That privilege is based off of the owner and what they want. And that can change based on the situation. My dogs are allowed on bed and couches. I have 3 dogs that sleep with me at night. Like,
his dogs sleep with him.
And that's why I love Goldens, because they love the freedom privilege so much that it makes them so easy to train. It's like the only one that I've had to use. Like, basically, whenever they're naughty, I take away their freedom for a little bit, and it works wonders.
So? What do you
putting
do?
them in the crate, in the kennel, in
it's a
confined
safe space.
space.
It's their bedroom.
Yeah.
And you
Okay.
don't go, bad dog, go in. It's like, okay, here's a cookie, go in. Yay.
Well, I just say you're going to jail. I don't really make it a negative experience, but I want them to know when they hear jail, they're going to jail.
And they have no connotation of what jail is. They just hear that word.
Well,
they're
they
like,
associate it with
okay.
the cage now, and they go on their back. They don't want to go in because they know their freedom's being taken.
And that's where I would say, like, I would work on counter conditioning the kennel to be a safe space. Like, throw cookies in there, feed them out of there. They find
really?
new toys
Okay,
or bones
why?
in there. Because we want it to be a safe space. We want it to be a place that they choose. Whether so, like my kennels are open during the day,
Okay.
and the dogs will go in and sleep in it. And then they
they
come
do?
out. I don't close it on them, but when I leave the house, that's when I close the door with them in there, and they just go in like, okay, cool. Like, I have a dog that loves her kennel. I probably will never be able to take it down because she loves it that much.
Aww.
But it's her space.
Well, he's always had a. How do you explain that big ginormous thing? It as big as this room. He had like a gate put up.
It was a giant pen, and then there was a basically kennel that I like wired into the side so they could choose to go in there anytime, and then that's like what their kennel would be. And then if they're ever really naughty, I would close off the entrance to the pen, and they would just be in that little area.
I have a client that calls it Pawshank, like Shawshank, but Pawshank.
That's funny.
That's
How
one of my
cute.
favorite statements.
How
Really,
cute.
I had a golden that couldn't handle a kennel. So we did the bathroom, and the bathroom was much bigger, but that was his kennel. You adapt to the dog. You adapt to what you need in your lifestyle. I have kids. I have things around. So the dogs had to learn that boundary. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to force them and have anxiety, because dogs will have anxiety in kennels. They'll have panic attacks. They'll try to get out. So it's, again, why do you need it? And then how do you build up that confidence? How do you build up to where they are safe? Cues of safety are huge.
Okay, so my daughter is for just a short time in Virginia, and she brought her pit bull mix with her there, and now she wants to come back to visit, but she doesn't know how to get the dog on the plane because it won't go in a crate because that dog is scared of crates. So she either has to rent a car and drive here, or somehow figure out how to get it in a crate so it can go underneath in the plane.
Yep.
She should definitely rent a car unless she wants her dog to just be dead when she arrives here, because her dog already has heart issues from heart form. So like really susceptible to like a heart attack or anything like that.
I would suggest just the stress of being in a plane alone, and then if there is a heart condition, you're driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
So
That's
she
a
needs
no.
to drive.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But the other thing too is that Arizona has a no-fly zone in the summer. It's too hot.
Yeah.
It gets too hot for dogs.
Yeah,
to be
your
in
dog is
cargo.
just dead when you.
Oh, good.
arrive.
Yeah. So
Okay, okay, that's good. I didn't know that.
the airlines have done a lot of safety features. What's interesting, I didn't know this until I was working with, I got to meet one of the vets with Delta, is that the plane where the passengers are is a completely different company than the cargo.
Really?
So it's 2 different companies under whatever the airline name is. So the rules, the regulations, all that stuff. And I have to say, like, I was really surprised at how much security and safety goes into the cargo part of the plane, especially with animals, which made me feel a lot better. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I feel a little bit better about this, but it's still something that I've moved cross country a couple times. We drove.
Yeah.
I would never. Would you ever let these dogs go underneath? I wouldn't.
No, I'd buy a ticket and have them on the seat next to me.
Yep. Or you fly a private plane or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Hey, you buy out the whole row and just have a dog row.
So what is what are the most important commands that you want your dog to master between, like, sit?
So you have a sit or a down.
Okay.
And honestly, it's one or the other. It doesn't have to be both. Ideally, dogs know how to do both, but it doesn't matter. Just some type of body focus. You have to have their name as a recall because it teaches recall. Because if you're, Fifi and then Fifi come, you want your dog to pay attention. You want your dog to come to you no matter what is going on. You want to leave it command, so they drop whatever they're doing and they come right back to you because it's okay. You said leave it, so.
Oh wait, that's another one.
Oh,
she
you
knows.
don't
She
have
knows
that
drop it. She knows drop it.
She does?
Yeah, she does.
See,
Oh.
and that's where most people, when you look at all the commands listed out, it's about 15 commands, but they're really only like 6. So when I teach my clients, we don't teach a drop it. We teach leave it. We tie leave it into name games. So when you're playing tug with your dog, crazy dog, crazy dog, crazy dog, we say, okay, now say their name and wait for the dog to spit out the toy. They sit, yay, and then you go back to play. The simpler we keep our commands, the more consistent your dog's going to be.
So you're saying when you just say their name, they're supposed to stop and sit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do your dogs do that?
No, they just look at me and wait for the next command.
Yeah, because they know it's a precursor. They
Yeah.
know, like, hey, what's up? You want me to check in?
They're hoping I say the T word next.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
If someone told you, hey, every time you want to go to Dutch, let's go, you'd be like, okay, well, yeah, let's do this. Same thing. So I teach my dogs intentionally so that way, whether it's myself or another person or a stranger, the dog knows the expectation. But also, I have the benefit of 15 years of animal training.
I saw it. I
It's making me
met
feel
her.
good though, because she's very well trained for only being 7 months. Because she already knows a good chunk of this list. She already knows sit, down, shake, stay, and drop it. Basically, the main thing I would want to work on is the not going on the counter thing.
So here's the part: is that once you know your basics, now you need to work on your thresholds. So now you need to work on your environments and your distractions. 7 months, don't push her too hard, too fast.
Yeah.
Most people are like, cool, you know it, let's go.
Yeah.
And then they take their dog to Oso or they take their dog to Dog at the Park for baseball and their dog gets flooded and then now all of a sudden their dog's barking on leash or now this like negative things are happening. You're like, well, what happened to my good puppy? And it's because you push too fast too soon.
Mhm.
You still have to go
Don't
slow.
overdo.
You have to let her learn how to regulate. Hey, we go to the park and we sit and we watch and nothing happens. You're not doing activities, you're not fetching, you're just sitting at a park bench and watching for 10 minutes. You reward and then you leave. The dog learns how to regulate and go, oh, okay, no big deal. Like if anyone goes to a dog daycare or if they go to another family member's house, does your dog whine when you turn down the street? Can they tell where they are and get overexcited? Do they try to push you to get out of the car because they want to go in? Because to them, it's like Disneyland. Oh my God, I'm here. Oh my God, I'm going to play with my friends, right? And so that's where you teach them, oh, we drove in and then we drive back out.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. I would tell clients all the time when I was with different pet resorts, you're going to practice driving past several times. And there would be lessons where I'd stand outside and I'd wave at the dog and the clients as they drove past. And you could hear, my favorite one was a pit bull named Miller, who you could legitimately hear a block away. Because he was just so excited. You just heard the pity wow noise. And then you could hear as they were driving away, it was comical. But eventually he learned how to be calm when they drove in.
So that's what you want to teach.
Yes. Neutrality.
Okay, neutrality.
I'm not saying that your dog can't get excited. I want your dog to get excited, but there's a time and a place. It's kind of like kids. There's a time and a place to be excited and to be goofy. There's a time and a place to tell me no and have a tantrum. Not in the middle of the grocery store. I'm going to carry you out like a sack of potatoes. We're not doing that.
And why do parents always look so mean when they're scolding their kids at a grocery store?
Because they're frustrated. You're embarrassed. It's embarrassing when your kid is not listening. I was at the doctor this morning, a pediatrician visit, and I don't usually take both boys, but they had to go together because of summer camp. And my youngest and my oldest were both picking on each other. Like they were picking and doing weird hugs and just being goofy because of energy. But at the same time, I'm like, what are you doing? You know, you guys are so much more well behaved when you're just by yourself. Why are you doing this together? But that same thing with dogs. Different environment, more people, they're gonna act out.
They're gonna act out. I think so. So why does it seem like Puka, the older dog, seems more to be
How common is it for
watchdog?
dogs to like foam at the mouth when they get super excited? Because my older dog Puka, that was happening every time I would take her to the dog park, like the first like 20 times. And it made me really concerned that she was like having a weird effect. But when I Googled it, it said that like it happens to like 10% of dogs and it's not that uncommon.
Yep.
But it's interesting because it's stopped happening now that she's like really used to playing with Luana and like having play sessions.
Oversensory.
Yeah, okay.
So dogs will foam at the mouth. Like when it rains, they can smell more because the scent is carried on their nose, and with the air, water in the air. So they will foam when they get overexcited.
Yeah, the first few times I was like so worried. I was like, did she have rabies or something?
Yeah.
But she was fine.
Scent dogs, sometimes when you teach a new scent to them or a new thing, they'll foam. Because I found it, or oh my gosh,
she gets that excited. Yeah, it's kind of cute now. That at first it freaked me out, but now I'm like, oh, she's just really excited.
Yep.
So what's a way to teach your dog to not be scared of going to the vets? Because his older dog, for sure, she does not like when she knows she's going to the vet.
Talk to your vet about visiting, and you're gonna drive in and then drive out. Drive in, they get a cookie, and then they leave. Like
that's
start
a great idea.
Teaching them, hey, it's just this is a place I get cookies, and then they will leave.
That's a great idea.
Most vets will work with you. Most vets will 100% work with you because they want the visits to go well too.
The vet definitely loves the dogs. I mean, he would do it probably for free. He loves dogs. He's great. Okay, she wants the rest of it, but I want it to be a little more sippy. Oh, and then how do you feel about when the dog goes to a groomer? If the last time you took,
or I was going to say is more.
She
what
put
do
the
you?
brakes on.
Or no, I was going to say more so. For dogs that just absolutely hate stuff like nail trimming, teeth brushing, because it's weird. Some dogs don't care and they just lay there like a rag doll, and other dogs act like you're trying to murder them. That's how my older dog is. And so I don't want to put her through that torture, so I like to
Have you ever done a force dryer to yourself?
Oh, what?
A force dryer to yourself?
No. It probably wouldn't be fun though. So I see that it's a weird thing for them.
It's a learned behavior, and it's also, again, a good groomer will say, hey, your dog's really nervous. Let's come in and just do a bath, or let's just come in and I touch the paws. Good groomers will take the time to teach the dog how to be on the table. So, and you can do this at home too, but again, environment plays a big key. So dogs can smell the stress of other dogs. They can smell the disinfectants. They can smell all those things. A lot of groomers, well-educated, well-experienced groomers that have good mentors will teach their dog how to stand on the table and recommend doing it multiple times.
I will say this place we took her to in North Scottsdale, what is it called again? You're the one who set it up.
I'll think of it. Oh, let's get back to that.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
think
on
of it.
Bell though. They did Puka and they did a great job actually because they told me at first, they were like, oh, she's gonna be fine, she's gonna love it. I was like, you don't understand this dog, she's not going to. And then they actually were really good because they sent me a video of her on the table and she was pretty relaxed, like looked happy, wasn't scared, tail not between her legs. So they actually did do a great job. And she was really clean.
Barking
too.
Bubbles.
Barking Bubbles up in
Barking
North
Bubbles.
Scottsdale.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, they actually did a great job, and I would take her back there. Yeah, because they sent me a video. She like was enjoying herself.
And it's a really nice place.
So
and
nice.
The owner's super nice too.
Yeah.
So,
That's the big thing is that if you have a groomer that will work with your dog and you say, hey, they're really nervous, most people in the dog industry want your dog to be successful, not stressed, because it makes our jobs easier. So it does take a little bit of time ahead of time, but you just work through it.
Or you as a pet owner, should you just watch videos and learn how to do it yourself?
You can learn how to do it yourself, but here's the thing with pet owners is that we tend to put a lot of human emotion on dogs. And dogs do feel human emotion. They feel emotion. They 100% do. We have scientific studies that have said, yes, dogs feel emotions. But we can't...
Do you mean they feel our emotions?
They can feel our emotions, but they also have emotions themselves. So when you think of happy, sad, basic emotions, they feel them. They've done MRIs where they do it and say, yes, dogs have them. But dogs can't say, I'm happy. 87...
Their tails. Their tails show.
Not necessarily.
And they're wagging. Usually.
Oh, that's good. Look, she knows. Listen.
87% of adults cannot identify dog behavior correctly. So we think tails. Wagging tail is a happy tail. No.
Really?
Well, it can mean other things like excited.
Wait, I want to know what it means then.
I see it as an indicator of energy. So if their tail is wagging, it means they're interested in something. So if it's stiff, that's a lot of tension. That's a lot of I'm unsure about something.
What if their tail's going
Under their butt?
Yes.
They're nervous. They're 100%
scared.
nervous. Well, I wouldn't say scared. It's just there's something that is making them unsure about it. And I say the difference between nervous and scared is because if I say scared, you think cowering, oh God, it's going to eat me. Woe was me. And if you think nervous, it means that they might still be interested, but they're a little bit shy. It's a little bit slower. So that's where we have to be careful with what behavior, what emotions are you labeling on that dog.
Drop.
She got something?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. She's something in her mouth?
Yeah. That's why it's not good to bring her to the show, because she's bored and doesn't have anything to do.
She hasn't learned neutrality here.
Did you get it out?
I don't know. I got a little something out.
So offer her this.
A little treat? Not yet. I was taking it out. She definitely ate
There's
something.
nothing in there.
So
She's okay.
She hasn't learned how to be comfortable with being bored.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we teach, boredom. And most pet owners won't teach their dog how to be bored.
Okay, and how do you teach that? That seems
You
impossible.
you turn on a TV show, you put your dog on a leash, and you put
On
it
a leash. I love this leash thing.
underneath your foot, and you watch 20 or 30 minutes of a TV show. And your dog's going to whine, they're going to paw at you, and finally, they'll go and plop down. And that's when you reward them, and you take them off the leash, and then you can invite them up on the couch. And a lot of times people are like, I can't let my dog watch TV with me on the couch. And I'm like, no, not for this. But afterwards, immediately ask them up on the couch.
What if there are certain couches or certain beds you don't want the dog to
Then don't
go
invite
on?
them up.
But how do you teach them? Because sometimes it's like, okay, I'm allowed on this bed, but not this one.
Mm-hmm.
How do you teach that? Or this couch is okay, but the rest of them are not.
Anytime they're
The
on
white
the
one is
couch,
not
you
okay.
teach them off. So all 4 feet are on the ground. And you can do a collar and just slightly pull them. You can do an arm swipe. The idea is just to push them off. And then, yes, good dog, as soon as their feet are on the ground. And then if they're allowed to be on one space, then you can say up, or pat on it. Say, okay, now you can come up in this one. And if you see them edge towards something off, you have to be consistent. Because
Okay.
they're not going to understand the boundary unless you are consistent. So, like, my dogs are allowed in the kitchen, but if I say out, they scatter out. But I've worked on, literally, when I'm unloading the dishwasher, it may take me 5 minutes to do the dishwasher, but it'll take me 15 to do it as a training session. So I ask them out, and then I keep putting away stuff. And if they creep onto that boundary that I've set, I push them back out with my body. So they've learned, yes, it takes me, 6 times to do this, and yes, it takes me longer to do my dishes, but then I don't have to worry about it later. So you integrate training, you integrate basic behaviors in your day-to-day life. That's how you do training. Most people think, oh, I got to do 20 minutes of training right now and it's intense. No, live your life. Teach your dog how to live in your life. There's a difference between well-trained and well-mannered. Well-trained, a dog will do what you say when you ask it, when you need it. Well-mannered will do it without you asking.
Really?
Well-mannered isn't necessarily a well-trained dog. They just know the expectations of your lifestyle.
So interesting. And are you supposed to
Yeah,
wait?
she's eating stuff.
What is she eating?
A rock.
Crunchy, minerals.
Okay, I'll hold on to her. Okay, we're just eating. Yeah. So should you wait to train your dogs when they're hungry?
No, food is a motivator. It's one of the easiest motivators, but not every dog is food motivated. Some dogs are toy motivated. Some dogs are people motivated. You should train your dog with whatever makes them excited.
She loves toys.
Yeah, so then train her with a toy instead.
Oh, that's a great idea.
She sits, then the ball gets thrown. She, goes on her place cot, then she gets to play tug.
That's so cute. Okay, so basically, whatever they love is how you can train. And if a dog loves a ball or the toy, you can do all those commands.
A lot of people get frustrated with I don't want to keep using treats all their life. And you have to realize that dogs have to learn. You learn through play. And if you're not playing with your dog's not going to want to do what you ask. And especially at this age where they're a teenager, the world around them is such more exciting than you. They have you all the time. And that's where, if you have a trainer that comes over the house and can work your dog and then they leave and then your dog looks at you like, well, that was fun, and just ignores you, it's because you're not doing the repetitions. You're not being a high enough value when there is new things there.
So it's important to play.
And
with
do
your
you
dog.
think it's important that you have to assert your dominance at some point when they're young so they know that you're the boss?
How do you define dominance?
Well, I think you just have to put them on their back and kind of just make them believe that you're the boss.
Old school style of thinking. So 10 years ago, a lot of people thought that. 20 years ago, 100%. If you've ever heard
I love the way you talk.
if you've ever heard the term force free, or I only use positive reinforcement, you'll hear that a lot in training circles. Technically what you're doing when you roll a dog like that, it's a dominance roll. That's not force free. That's not positive reinforcement only. That is forcing the dog to do it of I'm in charge. How you teach dominance is by leadership. How you teach a dog to be with you is by setting boundaries. So,
I just heard that like basically mimics their like biological built-in, that because that's like how in a wolf pack the alpha determines that they're the alpha. They get the other one on their back. So I've heard it kind of hacks into that biology, that they don't even think that they can challenge you if you do that when they're young too, because it's like not even challenging. Like it's almost kind of fun. You put them on their back and go, what's up, like, and then it's made them, both of my dogs love going on their back now, so they just think of it as like a fun thing
because they've learned that that's the way that you communicate with them.
Well, I can't remember.
And it's a way that they submit,
This
but
one
they
was
don't
really
challenge
funny.
at all.
At first, when she was a puppy, and she first just came home, she was only like a few days old, and I can't remember what I did.
She would growl back until I started putting on her back.
Or she tried to bite you.
Yeah.
She tried to bite.
After a week of putting on her back, that behavior disappeared.
Like if you tried to do something she didn't want, she would bite you.
But it might not work with every dog.
But she doesn't do that anymore.
And it's generally not generally recommended, just because there is temperance training of teaching a dog how to be comfortable with messing with them and any mobility. But again,
what do you mean by that? Like playing with their paws,
playing
or
with
ears?
their paws, rolling around, messing with their tails, tugging on things. You can roll them on the back, not as a force, but you can mess with them. You can do that for temperament and just getting them to tolerance. But for a behavior perspective, no. Like I wouldn't suggest that. I would suggest other things, because
such as.
There's a lot. Again, it depends. A lot of clients will ask me, well, how do I fix this one thing? And I look, oh my God, I have to see your dog and I have to talk to you.
What about for somebody who has a dog that just doesn't listen at all? Because I have a friend that's like that, and it's to the point where like I've been telling her, like, it's at the point where you should either get a professional trainer or take your dog to a shelter, because it literally, from the time you walk, I stopped going to her place at all, because from the time you walk in, just barking, and then just pissing wherever it wants. Like,
Really?
It's disgusting.
Oh, you've talked about this. Yes.
And it's like, I don't know.
Sounds like she needs you.
I'm low-key, like, not even that good of friends with her that much over it because of how bad of a dog owner she's been. Because it's like that dog's existence is basically
that's not nice
just...
to say. That's because maybe the dog was abused.
No, I stand by... Well, no, because she's had it since it was super young. It's just been zero training, zero effort, poorly owned dog. So now it's just constantly scared and doesn't listen to anything.
It's education.
Yeah.
Most dog owners need to be educated. My very first dog, I was 20, an Australian Shepherd that came from a cattle breeding working dog line. Ate a couch, ate a kennel, ate a wall, ate a door. Like legitimately everything that you could do wrong, I did with this dog. I had to learn, and that dog had to be rehomed. I was a college student. What was I thinking getting this type of dog? I didn't live the right lifestyle. So there is such a thing as there's times where I have to have conversations with clients of like, this really isn't the dog for your lifestyle, or this dog needs more. There are dogs that need more work. There are shepherds. I have a shepherd client that they get up at 4 o'clock, they run the dog, they work the dog goes on a very structured lifestyle, then it can work afterwards, and then they work after they get off work. Like there's so much need there because of the genetics, because of the drive, because of the dog itself.
Is that kind of like a what's that one called, a border collie?
Border collies, German shepherds, any working
Australian
breed.
Shepherd.
They're dogs. A lot of times when people say, oh, my dog barks, or oh, my dog does this, it's because the dog is bored or unfulfilled. And so when I talk from a training perspective, it's more of integration and how to do quote unquote lazy training, but it's also teaching the human how to integrate their dog in their life. You think, oh, well, they just need to do this. How are they going to know? How are you going to teach them? And when you do that, it can cause a lot of shame and a lot of frustration in the human. So then we have to talk, because my clients aren't the dogs, they're the humans. I can take your dog. I can take your dog and have your dog do anything in a week to 2 weeks. Truly, I can make dogs do anything.
Well, I'm excited because Chet doesn't know this yet. We're doing several sessions, and then we're gonna do like 2 or 3 sessions, and we're gonna have her back on the show and see what the dogs have learned and how they've improved. Are you excited about that?
That's it. Well, it would be even more fun
Because
if
she's training you.
I'll hit up this friend and see if she would let her dog have a training session with you because you would be like saving this dog's life.
But that's where you get rescues. That's where you get trainers. And here's the other thing too, is that not every trainer fits every person. That's why there's so many different types of trainers. I will tell people straight up, if you do not like what I'm saying, if it's not resonating, cool, let's go find a different trainer. And there's dogs that I say no to.
Just ones that are too aggressive or
pit bulls or
no, there's no breed that I say no to. There's no behaviors that I say no to.
Well, it wouldn't be the breed, it would be the individual dog because they've been through something terrible or traumatic.
It's also just energy. Behavior modification, so bite work, aggression, fear. It's usually fear. It's a young man's game.
What causes a dog to be fearful? Is it?
It can be genetics. It can be a lack of socialization. It could be.
It's gonna be trauma.
Abuse, yeah.
It could be trauma. It could be abuse. It could be any of the things.
Being around
there's not one thing that gives you, oh God, my dog's traumatized.
Like if there's a couple that's like, like husband and wife and they're like fighting or whatever.
That can cause issues. Yeah.
That can. Yeah.
Yeah. Dogs are incredibly insensitive and intuitive. They pick up our stress. They pick up our struggles. That's why we love dogs. That's why we like to have them in our lifestyle, and that's why they adapt. So dogs are, as much as you brought up the wolf point, we've genetically altered them so much that they're not wolves. When you put a dog with a wolf, it's not good. They don't go back to wolves. Like, I think there's one or two breeds that maybe can hang with the wolves, but dogs can't. They're bred to
There's just little traces of those genetics, but it's almost gone.
They're bred to breed, to please us humans. They did a study at the U of A where they found that dogs learned how to biohack us humans. They can scan our faces. It's called emotional mapping, and they can actually tell what emotions we're feeling themselves. And what they'll do
just by looking at us,
they'll insert themselves into our space and make eye contact. So if you stare at your dog for more than 10 seconds, your oxytocin raises, and so does theirs. Oxytocin is the love hormone. It's what happens when parents hold babies. So they know how to hack it. Now, I always tell clients, don't stare at your dog, because a lot of people are like, oh, cool, I'm going to stare at my dog now, right? It's something that naturally has to happen. When you're loving on your dog and they're relaxed, then you can look at your dog. But if you try to force your eyes in front of a dog, that's also a very intimidating, scary, like, I'm staring you down thing. So again, it's always one of those things of catch-22s. Like, in dog behavior, tails, ears, any body language.
It's so true that they can pick up on our emotions, because whenever I'm stressed or sad, Kuka, my older one, like, always knows and comes and sits on my feet and like won't leave me alone until I like pet her and stuff. It's so crazy that every time I'm sad or stressed.
Yeah, well, they can smell it.
Yeah,
they can smell migraines. They can smell your heart rate or hear your heart rate. They can smell your cortisol. They can smell so many things, and they can alert you to it.
So I'm gonna see if you can give her a command again and see if she'll listen. Here, can I let her go this way?
Oh no, I'll show off what she can do. Come here, come on.
Because it's not about me asking her for a command, it's about her listening to him.
Shake, in a good shape. Down, 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 down. Good girl.
That is good.
Mm-hmm. It's very good.
That's really good.
Can I give her one of your tears?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now?
This one.
There you go. Have a treat.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, okay, cool.
So cute. Well, how do people find you? We still have about like 5 minutes left.
Okay.
I think it's only 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
So, a couple ways. You can find us at certifiedcanine.com. You'll see our certification side, and most people are like, that's a lot of like service dog. That's not what I need. If you go to the training side, it'll take us straight to the training business.
Well, for the service side, what does that cost? And how long does that program, do they drop the dog off?
Oh God, no, you keep your dog.
Okay.
We do not do board and trains, you keep your dog. So certification, what we do is it's a two-step process. We verify that your health records, that you understand what service or therapy dog requires, and then we do public access testing, which is 2 tests, and then we do task-based testing. So if your dog is a service dog, can they do 2 tasks that they help mitigate a disability, or can they do a human temperament test for therapy or facility dog work? So it's very cut and dry. We do the test, and then we send you off to an insurance company that actually certifies or actually covers service dogs. Best way to describe it, like, think of it like car insurance.
Really?
It is medical and liability insurance. There is not a liability insurance out there for service dogs. and that's a whole other conversation.
Well, we'll talk about that next show.
And then the training, we do private lessons, we do group classes.
What's a private lesson cost?
$115, which is comparable for most individual trainers.
So you come to the house for an hour.
People can come to our house, or they can come to one of our facilities. We have one facility up at 20th Street in Camelback, and we have another one by Sky Harbor. Just depends on what we're doing.
And then I saw you at the mall.
Yep.
Is that also another place you could meet?
Yeah, we do a lot of public access work.
What are the hardest breeds to train? So that
That's
way
a
people
great
know
question.
to kind of avoid
Fantastic
them
question.
if they.
Hardest breeds. Any work.
What kind of people?
Any working breed can be hard because they just are high needs. So shepherds, Malinois, even like corgis.
Would Jack Russell be in there? Because I had to watch one time. That was the craziest
They
dog.
don't stop.
Yeah.
I have a client that loves Jack Russells, and he came to me for service
I love them
work,
too.
and that little dude can do 12-hour days and still play. He's
I
like,
think
all right,
it's
cool, let's go.
24-hour days, yeah.
Those guys are they're high drive.
Yeah.
So again, you got to make sure the dog matches you.
But wouldn't that be boring if all the dogs were the same or all the people were the same? It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so private sessions $115.
Yep.
And then they can come to 2 facilities or your house.
No, we go to their house.
Their
so
house,
we can
okay.
also go. We usually do evals in home, in the client's home, and then we kind of decide what the best game plan is. We don't say, okay, you're going to do this one thing. We really want to customize it to what makes sense for you and your dog, because we also look at your dog. I'm not going to tell a client, hey, this is the one thing to do, because like looking at you guys, you don't need basics. What you need is environmental practice.
Yes, I think coming to Chet's home, and I need to be taught too, because I want to follow the same rules for when I pet sit for when he's out of town.
But also, what's your goals? That's what we start with.
Well, we're looking forward to. So I'll just let everybody know we're going to be doing
She's
some
just
sessions.
trying to basically expedite her not being a puppy anymore. But like some of this jumping behavior is going to be tough to get out until she's a year old.
Oh no, I love it. I'm not trying to expedite her not being a puppy. I
But
think
you're
she's
like
perfect.
wondering why she's still like testing her boundaries. She's a puppy. She's probably gonna.
Yeah.
She's well trained,
6
but
months.
she's probably gonna be testing her boundaries
6
until
months.
she's 8 or 12 months.
But that's also where we can teach her, hey, you can jump when you're asked. So you teach it as a skill instead. And then she learns, oh, this is when it's appropriate.
Well, I'm excited to work on these skills for Luana and Puka, and have another show, and we'll talk about all the improvements. So thank you so much for being here, saving the planet,
One show at a time.
one pup at a time.
Good
Thank you
guys.
so much.
That's fun.
Blake, Woody, thank you.
Yes.